Hello everyone and welcome to the Archaeogaming Museum, where today we'll be doing another Archaeogaming Let's Play or mini Let's Play of the Treasure Hunter Simulator, more specifically Treasure Hunter Simulator tutorial. Now, just like last week, we're looking at another simulation game, whereas last week we looked at the Archaeologist Simulator, which turned out in fact to be a paleontology simulator. Today we are looking at a treasure hunting or metal detecting simulator. This is a game I've wanted to look at for a while, to look at how it represents metal detecting and how it represents archaeology within the game, especially since metal detecting has been in the news a lot recently over lockdown, especially with regard to an activity called night hawking, which is the illegal removal of objects from land and scheduled monuments or private land where you don't have the landowner's permission, or scheduled monuments by metal detectorists. You may have seen recently in the news about the group of 5 individuals who used WhatsApp to target areas such as Beeston Castle and Roach Abbey, and also the recent news of illegal metal detecting happening along sites on Hadrian's Wall. These are just a few cases. For example, in the UK, there are obviously cases more worldwide, and is all part of a much larger issue regarding the illegal trade in antiquities. So I don't want this to be too much of a rant at the beginning, because here we're sort of looking at the game and its depiction. But I do just want to cover a few things before we look at the game itself. Now, back in 2019, English Heritage started to do a collect more data or more survey, or released a report in early 2020 about data they collected in 2019, highlighting that, for that year, December 2019 was one of the worst months for illegal metal detecting English Heritage sites in more than 4 years, so showing a gradual rise in this illegal night hawking and illegal metal detecting activity, which unfortunately has continued and increased during lockdown. And they've published a recent report. I'll post that in the description of this video if you are interested in finding out more about that. But I mean, before sort of 2006, there were very few actual big studies on night hawking. Oxford Archaeology carried out one of the first major night hawking surveys that you can see here, or were commissioned to back in 2006, and they produced this report. Again, this is a free to access report, so I'll put this in the description. But what they sort of point out in the report is quite a nice synopsis of the main issue about night hawking. Night hawking is the theft by the few of the heritage of the many. Night hawking is the illegal search and removal of antiquities from the ground using metal detectors without the permission of the landowners or on prohibited land such as scheduled monuments. Night hawking is therefore theft. Now, obviously, the rules differ slightly in Scotland and in both Northern and Republic of Ireland, but there are very similar laws in place. And the advice about metal detecting is not hard to find out. You can actually go to the Portable Antiques Scheme website, and they have a wealth of information on there, including best codes of practice for responsible metal detecting in England and Wales. And again, Scotland and Northern Ireland will have very similar codes of practice as well. So ignorance really shouldn't be a good excuse. A lot of this information is freely available and easy to find. So why is there an increase in this illegal activity? That's a very good question. Partly, I think, from a personal point of view, it's how the press have handled things like large-scale finds which are reported in the media, such as a good example would be the Staffordshire hoard, which was discovered back in 2009 by Terry Herbert, who went through all the correct channels and recorded it very well. But a lot of the news articles, and even if you just Google, one of the things that come up when you search the Staffordshire hoard was how much it was eventually sold for, which was £3.3 million, which was shared between the landowner and by the finder. But this sale was done through all the correct channels. It was done by an independent treasure evaluator. It was then sold through the correct channels and was luckily kept within sort of more or less the local areas, and has subsequently gone on tour and all these kind of things. So, but it is generally part down to the media, which sort of romanticizes to a certain extent treasure hunting or metal detecting by highlighting, how much it is worth, and sort of go out and find treasure. And there was a few years ago a rather irresponsible campaign which was going to be launched by Cadbury's, sort of encouraging people to go and as part of a treasure trail thing they were running, I think, over an Easter. I forget the details exactly. Made the headlines at the time, basically encouraging people to go and Nighthawk. So, although, ignorance about Nighthawking shouldn't be an issue, it does still seem to be a major part. So why are we talking about this in regards to Treasure Hunter Simulator? Let's get off the rant of Nighthawking. That's not the purpose of this video, but it's something to bear in mind. So why we're looking at this is because games such as Treasure Hunter Simulator may be people's first sort of introduction into metal detecting, or they may play the game, and I'm not saying that Treasure Hunter Simulator and other games are encouraging people to go out and metal detect illegally. I hope that's not what they're doing, but people may inadvertently or just again through not doing the research know about the rules and regulations regarding metal detecting in their local countries and what is and is not allowed. And, there are some fantastic metal detectorists out there. I've worked with many, there are many great groups around where I live. And again, things like the Portable Antiques Scheme can help put you in contact with good groups. And also with your local finds liaison officer. And they are a wealth of information about where you can and cannot dig, where find hotspots have been, because good metal detecting can be a great resource for archaeology and in helping pinpoint new sites or new discoveries. It is fantastic, such as finds such as the Staffordshire hoard. But only if it's done well, only if it's not done illegally. Things are well recorded, and that is often the issue with a lot of metal detecting. Even when people are doing it correctly, they've got the landowner's permission, they don't necessarily record where they find these objects. So they come in with these objects, tell you where they're from, roughly in a field, or maybe with a very sort of small grid reference, but that's not particularly useful as such. And also they don't record things like the depth, the soil types, and other sort of contexts with where the artefacts were found. Issues can also come in with people digging irresponsibly or not carefully enough. The tools they use, which can potentially damage the artefacts or damage other things around them. So, metal detecting is great. Don't get me wrong. Only if it's done well. Only if it's done well. And again, things like Treasure Hunter Simulator are, how well do they represent metal detecting? How well do they represent dealing with antiquities and the finds, and that sort of thing. That's what we're looking at in this video from an archaeogaming perspective. Now, for me, the sort of immediate alarm bell, I guess, is that, you know, it's called Treasure Hunter Simulator. Okay, nothing necessarily wrong with that in principle, but let's have a look at what it says about the game. So, on its intro blurb on Steam, it says, dive into the exciting world of finding long-forgotten treasures. Grab your metal detector and set off to explore the countryside. What today looks like a peaceful meadow might have been a scene of a fierce battle in the past. Hiding now the valuable artefacts. Ready to dig in the past? Okay, doesn't sound too bad when you start off. So let's get rid of the cookie notification. So it's currently available for £13.49. We'll just gloss over that a little bit. So, find treasures. Treasure Hunter Simulator gives you a chance to explore historically important locations worldwide, and by using your metal detector, discover the past, finding interesting artefacts, and getting to know their historical significance. Now, this potentially is the first major alarm bell when it talks about gives you a chance to explore historically important locations worldwide by using your metal detectors to discover the past by finding interesting artefacts. Okay, I know what they're getting at here. You're sort of using this as a way of exploring these historical sites and find out about them, but most of these will be scheduled and protected sites where metal detecting would be an illegal act. I know they're sort of using it as a vehicle to find out about the past, and again, it depends how in-game they portray it. If it's part of an archaeological dig or archaeological investigation, so a licensed or sanctioned investigation to the sites, if they present it like that, that's not so much of an issue, but that is something that game developers need to be aware of, and that the people playing also need to be aware of, potentially. Travel the world. With locations scattered all over the world, you'll need to find something interesting and valuable in your local woods to gain the prestige and funds needed for better equipment and travel expenses to exotic remote locations. You can decide to keep artifacts for your collection or auction them off to travel further or even get better gear. Now, okay, again, nothing necessarily wrong in principle with the idea of the selling of the things you find, as long as it's done through the correct channels, as long as things are, every find is either registered or at least shown to find liaison officer to decide whether they want to register it and decide what needs to happen with it, and then obviously, depending on the outcome of that, you know, if it's treasure, classified as treasure, you know, that will need to go through those own channels. If it's considered not worth recording, or that there's no further interest in it, obviously then you are free, within reason, to do what you like with the object. Simulator. Treasure Hunter Simulator is not a hardcore metal detector simulator, but rather a mix of arcade and simulation with streamlined detector mechanics. The game is enjoyable not only for the fans of the genre, but casual gamers as well. Simple, intuitive gameplay elements combined with the beautiful landscapes make for a truly enjoyable experience. Well, I guess we'll put that to the test when we actually get around to playing with that. Not much to say about that from an Archaeogaming perspective. And now our legendary artefacts, apparently. So 10 key features, 11 beautiful handcrafted locations, 8 different metal detector types to upgrade, 100 plus artefacts to find, 10 plus legendary artefacts. Artefacts will be found in various conditions, identification and collection of artefacts. Artefacts can be sold to bolster funds, and so forth, what we've already discussed. And again, it has very mixed reviews on Steam between people sort of either not liking the gameplay, or a couple pointing out things that we've already pointed out in this issue about the illegal antiquities trade and how games like this may unintentionally misrepresent. I'm not saying this is what Treasure Hunter Simulator is doing, Drago Entertainment and movie games. Please don't sue me, this is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that, you know, games like this may give people the wrong impression, or people may get the wrong impression for them, depending on how they interpret how the game is set out. So, that's enough rambling and ranting. Without further ado, let's jump into the game itself. So as I said, today we are just going to take a look at the tutorial. This is mainly because This video will be quite long if we try to complete more than just the tutorial. So we may come back to the game, we may look at other sites and explore some of the other sites as well, if people like this video and think it's worthwhile pointing out. And then we can fully explore properly how the game represents metal detecting and treasure hunting. And continue to evaluate it from an Archaeogaming point of view. So yeah, we're just going to do the tutorial and maybe explore a little bit else as well, beyond the just initial tutorial, but it's mainly a tutorial we're going to be looking at today. So let's jump in and let's start a new game. Story mode, there's just a general exploration mode as well, where you can just go and explore other parts of the map, maybe as a, you know, if you don't want to play through the story. So that's quite nice. You can explore some of these locations without having to go through the story. And just kind of explore that, but again, they won't be as jobs, it'll just be sort of exploration and just sort of, I guess, freelancing it. So let's go into story mode. Yes, I want to start a new game. Just have a sip of coffee while waiting. Welcome, Treasure Hunter. This is the tutorial level. In it, we teach you how to play and find treasures quickly and effectively. If you already know how to play Treasure Hunter, blah blah, but no, we are going to go through the tutorial. So let's just have a quick look around at what we're looking at. Look at the standard skybox. Looks quite nice. As I said, the graphics do look quite clean and crisp. Some nice detailing on the fence. Before I just sit here and examine this fence. So let's have a look. Where are we? Well, I already know where we are because I have played this before. We are at the Gettysburg Military Park in American Pennsylvania, I think. So this again rang alarm bells with me when I first played this game, because Gettysburg is obviously a protected site and is the site of the Memorial Graveyard and other sites linked to the Battle of Gettysburg, and almost certainly that non-authorised or non-licensed metal detecting site would almost certainly be illegal, but also the slight ethical considerations around metal detecting near a graveyard and how the game might represent these. But let's continue with the tutorial. So far we've just gone through movement, so movement is done as usual with these sort of games through the WA, S and D keys, but you can change those. And running is done with the shift key. So there we go. PDA. When you enter a location, you always bring your PDA unit with you. The PDA will not only allow you to see where you are on the map, but also check your current jobs and take photos using the camera. To open the PDA, press the PDA key. Default is M. Okay, so let's open up the PDA. So we've got a map. What's quite a nice feature is it shows you where you've been and where you've moved, so you can keep track of that. List of jobs, but jobs will come up after the tutorial and after we've done that. So move on, and the camera feature. This is a PDA camera. You can use it to take photos during your adventure. Some jobs may require you to take a photo of specific objects in the world, and what's actually quite nice is you can walk with the camera out, which is quite cool. So there we go. That is the PDA bit of the tutorial. Search icon. When you get close to a treasure, your detector will start emitting a low frequency sound. Additionally, you'll see a small icon appear in the lower right corner of your screen. These notifiers are your main tool in locating treasures. Let's see if we can find anything then. Oh, here we go. So here's the icon in the bottom right of my screen. Give an indication. So now, search. When close to a treasure, you can focus on your detector to enter the search mode. This will allow you to locate the treasure and dig it up. To enter this mode, press the detector key default right mouse button. So here we go. Doesn't make an irritating sound at all. So we can move using Q or E and pivot on the spot using, or just angle using the mouse. So now we need to try and see what we can find. Nearly there. When you manage to place your detector above a treasure, it will make a specific sound. This means that the treasure is right under the detector. Oh, that's all, moment. Oh. That beeping sound sounds a bit like my microwave. And then dig in. Grab your shovel, press the action key default left mouse button. You managed to find a treasure. Now you will need to dig it up. Digging it up will require you to pull out your shovel. And then we've actually got to click to dig. Wow, this is hard work. So dig, 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 dig. And what have we found? Looks like a musket ball of some kind. Identification. After digging up a treasure, you can start the identification process. To do so, click the Identify button. At first, the treasure will be cleaned, and after that, you will need to start inspecting it by rotating to find out small details that will help you recognize the item. This process becomes easier the more of the treasures of the same type that you find. To track your progress, look at the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So let's identify. Where we appear to be using some kind of aerosol cleaning, maybe compressed air, which, if I'm honest, is not the best thing to use on all objects, or really necessarily at all on objects of a great age, because depending on the pressure of the aerosol, can potentially destroy or damage the surface below where it is dirty and break it up more. This is the inner conservator in me. Sorry. Best just to start off with a nice gentle brush. Very soft bristle, something like a pony bristle brush, or a very sort of natural cotton swab, depending on the item. But again, things like the Portable Antique Scheme and similar organisations will have guides on cleaning and caring for the objects. So go and check out those guides. Maybe I'll show you a bit more on those at the end of the video for those viewers who are in the UK. But I mean, even some of the just object identification guides and cleaning guides are obviously, even if you're not in the UK, still might be of interest. So yes, so we can rotate it, and as you can see on the top left, the identification bar progresses. Destroyed lead musket ball. The ball is a projectile used in muskets. Given the size of the ball, it could either be from the early muskets or even the arquebus, a gunpowder weapon that preceded muskets. This in turn means it dates back possibly as far as the 15th century or as late as the early 17th century. The projectile of the musket is correctly called a ball, not a bullet. Interestingly enough, the word bullet is derived from the French word boulette, which is in turn roughly translates little ball. So there we go. As far as I know, the descriptions for the game, for the artefacts, are pretty good. This is not my area of expertise, although I can safely say that that's very nice and correct and a nice synopsis. But depending on the items we're going to find, I am, as you may have guessed by now, more of a prehistorian, more interested in especially British and Northern European prehistory, although Near East fascinates me, as does the Americas as well. So, after picking up and identifying a treasure, it will be placed in your inventory. After you return to your office, you'll place all of the treasures in a safe spot and catalogue them in your computer. To open your inventory and check what you have collected, press the inventory key, default I. So let us do that. There we go, we can see that in inventory. Legendary. Each zone you visit will have a special treasure called a legendary. These items are very rare and can only be found if you get tips where to look. Once found, identified, and stored. Blah 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 blah. At any point, you can return to the office and pick up a new zone to adventure to. To return to your office, press escape and quick return to office. Now, something it doesn't point out, and something I'm glad it did actually include in the game, is actually if you check your PDA, it does actually record where you dug and where you found the object, but it doesn't tell you why this is important or that it's done it. So that would be a nice feature if they could add, both in terms of from a game element, it shows you where you've dug and maybe, don't go back and dig in the same area. But from a good recording point of view, at least you're recording where you dug and where you found the object, even if it doesn't go through the exact depths. And as I said, this isn't supposed to be a hardcore simulator. This is more of an arcade and simulator mix for the more casual gamer. But even if they just mention it in passing as sort of just a brief tip or thing that is just mentioned in the tutorial or somewhere, would be nice as something that is important to take into consideration when you go out metal detecting. Again, inspecting these, again, the graphics are really nice. If we look at the copper corrosion on this brass cannon, very nice. And the detailing on the wooden and iron wheels, very nice as well. So it is quite peaceful and tranquil, I have to say, walking around doing this, and it has a sort of a nice calming soundtrack. So just looking at the game elements now, in essence, what we've discovered through tutorial, things are quite easy, but maybe quite time intensive if you are, depending on how many objects there are to find in each site. Oh, we are on the track to find something else. Is it this way? No. Looks like it's this way then. I'm not sure if there are random locations each time you play or not, actually. I've not played enough to sort of determine that. At least in the tutorial. It might be the same. Doesn't talk about randomly generated item locations in the... So again, not sure about necessarily the replayability of the game once you've completed it, although they are. The game was on sale recently, which is where I picked up. I picked up for less than 30. I can't remember how much I picked it up for. I picked it up for sale price though, because they are bringing out a second one. So it's kind of why I wanted to get this video in and then see how maybe the second one differs when that is released, although there is no date for that at the moment. What have we found? Looks like a coin. It'd be nice if they got us to control the can maybe as well, as just turn it and use the spray at least to record it that way. That'd be quite nice. But it seems a bit arbitrary when that identified, because I was turning it several times before it started. I don't know if you have to find a certain thing, diagnostic feature. That'd be quite interesting to know actually. That'd be quite a thing. It'd be nice if also you're able to zoom in, but there's no real way. Appears to be a way of zooming in to examine these closer. That would be a nice feature as well. So, a $quarter coin, also referred to as a Washington quarter, issued by the United States Mint since August the 1st, 1932. All coins until 1965 consist of about 90% silver and 10% copper. This particular coin is actually from 1932, as evidenced by the date on the coin. It's not greatly visible as far as I can tell. Is it at the top corner there? It might be. The Washington quarter replaced the standard Liberty quarter, 1916 to 1930, in celebration of the 1932 bicentennial of the birth of the first president, George Washington. So that's a nice little bit of history, but not the legendary artifact we're after. So let's continue our search. And then probably after we've found the legendary artifact, which may be in several objects' time, maybe that's when we will return to the office and see what's available there. And then that might leave it there for this video. just because although this is quite therapeutic for me, I say therapeutic, as I say that, you know, the actual gameplay elements are enjoyable so far. Despite potentially, you know, what people may think that the game is referring to, or issues maybe that the game has. I mean, the actual gameplay is quite simple and quite, in a way, cathartic. So then that's why we're kind of balancing this with gameplay and archaeogaming style things. So, you know, is a game what it's like as, you know, a representation of metal detectoring and the difficulties around metal detectoring and illegal metal detectoring and night walking. You know, that sort of thing. So we found an oddly shaped bit of metal, likely to be a piece of a device or machine of sorts, hardly of any value. Kind of looks like a bent tent peg to me. So let's identify it then. Especially that kind of spike at the end. And again, there we go. A shaped metal pin from a rather modern product, like a piece of camping gear or alike, pretty much of no value. And I mean, and of course there were achievements for the game for you to unlock, although the Steam page didn't indicate how many that was. So again, quite close. This may be another similar thing as we found it in the area, and maybe indication of where someone camped, but camping in the middle of a, I don't know, people may be allowed to camp right in the middle of Gettysburg Military Park. If you're in the US and you know, let me know. It doesn't look like that. It looks like maybe another coin. Yeah, again, this looks like another silver Washington quarter coin. Yeah, and it's a duplicate of something we've already found. So that's quite nice. We found another one. So, let's continue. We've certainly found hotspots here. So this is interesting because, you know, if we were found, say, maybe another quarter, might give an indication maybe of what was happening in the area at the time. Could just be that someone's wallet exploded, or coin purse, or whatever, or was dropped. Or could be something more significant. Maybe someone stole a load for whatever reason and just decided to bury a load in here and didn't come back and get them, and since they've been transported by burrowing rodents, or they decided to bury different ones in different places for whatever weird reason, or to lay out some kind of weird clue or treasure map, who knows. Here we go, let's dig. Continue to dig, 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 dig. What have we found? An old button. Yep, I'd say that looks like a button. So let's identify. Again, looks like it may have been made out of some kind of brass button maybe, and it sort of had copper erosion around it. This button's very old. Indeed, material manufacturing techniques and ornamentation suggest this particular button dates back to 14th or 15th century Europe. Buttons have been used since ancient Rome, but there are even older examples like those in China around 2000 BC. Have already been used since. Yeah, I mean, buttons go back a very long time. The oldest buttons are believed to be more than 5,000 years old, made out of curved shells in the Indus Valley. Yep, I mean, there's some great examples from there actually. Indus Valley, a very interesting culture and phenomenon. Again, an interesting thing. Why is a 15th century, 14th century button, iron button, apparently, although it looks more copper to me. It's not the kind of erosion you generally get with iron. But there we go, they say it's iron. We'll say it's iron. So yeah, I mean, why is that at the Gettysburg Monument? That would be a very interesting mystery to solve. But, is it... Yeah. Could it be a button that was just handed down from person to person for a very long time? A very special family button, maybe? And ended up on a tunic of a soldier at Gettysburg? Or was kept in a special pouch? Or on a necklace? Or are the artefacts you can kind of find in the game slightly random? Or with a certain randomness to them? So it looks like it might be something on the other side here. So we sort of appear to be digging in what appears to be a memorial area here. Not entirely sure which of the many memorials. So, you know, this would seem to me be a bit dodgy from a legality point of view, unless you have express permission. Oh, it kind of looks like a water mains pipe for a moment, or something like that. Ah! Well, I'm guessing that's a musket of some kind. I think this may be our legendary item. Here we go, an 1855 Springfield musket. Era 1856 to 1862. A Springfield model 1855 rifled musket made between 1856 and 1862, where it was superseded by the model 861 from the American Civil War. Back when it was a revolutionary weapon that changed the battlefield, its rifled barrel and the use of the meadow ball not only increased the musket's effective range, but also its accuracy. The use of the new Maynard tape primer meant that the precision cap did not have to be manually placed, and also prevented many of the misfires, which in turn resulted in significantly faster reloading times compared to earlier muskets. Back in those days, how often a soldier could fire his musket actually trumped accuracy and range. Well, absolutely. Long lines of people firing muskets at an oncoming line or column doesn't necessarily... Accuracy beyond being able to shoot at that line was not particularly important. So, priceless type legendary. So we found our legendary item for this graveyard. Good job, congratulations, you have found your first legendary item and thus completed the tutorial. Go back to your office and learn more about what you can do there. Let's do that then, let's return to the office. I have to say, I'm very envious of this office. Large spaces, you can freely walk around the office. In it you'll find your PC and collections to interact with. To walk, use the default buttons. I would love an office like this. This is what I want for the Archaeogaming Museum, really, is an office like this, a space to display my own collections of video game consoles and games, both of the board variety and the digital variety, and my books, my big collection of books. This is I really want, especially with an open fire, although that's not great from the conservation point of view. So here we go, we've got little collection pedestals or stands here. Now, if those are silver and that's felt underneath, that's not great, because felt is actually not great for silver, even though it's what every single silver manufacturer puts on them, but at least the silver tarnish. So yeah, don't use that. So we can open these up. Collections. Collections hold sets of items you find in the Treasure Hunter Simulator. You can open the collections to look through the items. So here we've not found anything like this yet, but you can re-examine them, you can have a look at them, and it will tell you. It also give you hints if you want to find this where you can find it. Like this, we need to search for Scottish coast. So there we go. What have we got here? What have we got here? Oh, meteorites, okay. Are these all meteorites? Yeah. And here we've got other collections. We've got some hammerheads, for example. Various different types of hammerhead. Coins by the looks of it. Yeah, a little coin case for different coins we can find. Which one is it? This one? No. So this is one that we found. Is this one we found? No. This one we've not got in there. That must be in a different case somewhere then. Okay. So there we go. Those are some of the collections, and the musket is hanging like a trophy on the wall behind us. And we also have our computer, so let's investigate the computer and see what we can find through that. The map is the main view where you can enter the computer and use it to set destinations for your next adventures. To use it, simply select a pin in the world map and press travel. Before you go, you can also read more about the location on the information to the right from the map. In the story mode, you can see your progression for every map as well as some of the rest of the map. So obviously we were at Gettysburg, 0% completed. Location, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. Battle of Gettysburg is one of the most known battles of the American Civil War, fought in the first days of July 1863. It is known to be the battle with the largest number of casualties of the entire war. Today, much of the area where the battle took place is preserved. Among those is the Gettysburg National Military Park. You will travel there near the Lincoln Address Memorial in hopes to find some Civil War memorabilia. An early Springfield musket, such as the one we found, would certainly look nice in your collection. So I guess these are maybe the depths and percentage depths of objects and their sizes that you find there. And again, travel cost free, and we've not currently or completed not even 1%. Obviously we have done some work there. So where else? We've got the Bavarian Lake location, and let's see, Bavaria, Germany. Well, nothing is really exciting as such ever happened there. The Aletzee, or the Alat Lake, is one of those locations on every treasure hunter's radar. One of the reasons for this area's fame among the selected group of people are the rumours of being the resting place of Hitler's gold. Oh dear. While likely untrue, as shown by the evidence of endless divers trying to find it, failing to find it, the area is known to yield interesting finds, be it those from the First or Second World War. An old German pickle helmet would sure be an interesting addition to your collection. So again, that looks like the legendary item that we would uncover in that location. And here, in the top left-hand corner, you've got your prestige and your current cash flow. So let's have a look at emails. Your email is where you'll receive job offers. All job offers are divided into two sections. Hopefully that should be two sections. Jobs and side jobs. The first 1 holds all the jobs that will push the storyline forward. Side jobs will allow you to gain prestige while completing tasks for other minor factions. Got faction elements now, interesting. So special inheritance. That's in fact a third job type, in fact, because special jobs and side jobs, so there are 3 types. Inheritance, case 65202. Good morning, my name is Johann Schmidt and I am writing to you as a representative of the Willpower Inheritance Company. We regret to inform you that your uncle, Sir Richard Clapperton, has deceased. I am sending this message to you to inform you that we are starting the inheritance case. #65202. Following Sir Richard's wishes, I am also providing your email address to a selected number of contacts that will follow a different set of rules provided in the last will. 1 year from now, these contacts will be asked to provide a full review of your actions, and based on them will be able to wire part of your inheritance that Sir Richard wishes to give you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Now, based off the very poor grammar of that email, that would ring immediate spam alerts to me, or scam alerts. Not entirely sure how much I trust that. So jobs. Cleaning up Bavarian Lake. Greetings, my name is Robin Hewitt and I represent the Institute of Archaeology. Oh, here we go. We've actually got an official, supposedly anyway, from an archaeology organisation. Currently, we do not have any major job offers that we can present to you, but if you wish to start a closer working relationship with our organisation, I would like to offer you a job in the Bavarian Lake area. We are looking to get a permit to search the area and establish an archaeological camp. In order to do that, we must make a good impression. Please let me know if you accept. Robin Hewitt, Institute of Archaeology. Now, this is quite interesting. Now, this is a good sign in the game that we are being sought out by an official archaeological organisation to help in initial survey, is what that's getting at, of an area, like a metal detecting survey, to indicate what might be there to help establish a camp to further investigate the area, to secure funds, to secure permission. This is a good use of people who specialise in metal detecting, especially those who are, do good jobs and record properly. This is how metal detectors are often actually used. It is nice that this is a feature within the game, as this sort of maybe relieves some of the fears maybe I had about the game based on its Steam description and early tutorial bits. So it's nice it's also got that as well. That is a big plus and a way in its favour that they're exploring that avenue. And we've got some side jobs here. Botanists, Bavarian Lake. So here we want to find and take pictures of various plants, I'm guessing. Yeah. So it's nice that it gives you a diagram of what you're looking for. That's quite nice. Forging routes, Bavarian Lake. Find the fastest route. So that sounds like a race type minigame, maybe. Or exploration minigame. And updating website. Take photos. This is quite nice. We're being, I guess, being asked to help update the official Gettysburg website. Take photo of the cannon monument near the entrance. And of the main memorial. So those are the jobs as shown in the email tab. We can then go on and have a look at the various other detectors that you can buy. Now, reviews say that these don't massively actually help you as much, although these stats would potentially show otherwise. I don't really know. Reviews suggest they don't really make much of a difference. And then we've got a collection tab. This is the collection tab. Here you will find and list all the treasures that you've collected. To sell an item, select it and press the sell button. Keep in mind that all trash items are sold automatically when you return to the office. So here we are. So we can't sell our priceless musket, that's our own little treasure, but all these other things that we can sell. So let's just try selling this reasonably, what is considered useless bit of metal. Okay, so we just sold an item, doesn't tell us where we sold it to. Might be nice to know where that goes. So that's maybe something they could include. Maybe they could make some story about who you're selling it to, and even use that as an expansion of the game. You know, you go off and talk to some dealers, maybe, you know, explore that kind of avenue. But I guess, as I said, this isn't a hardcore simulation. This is a casual simulation. And I can understand, you know, that this game would have appeal as a casual style game. As I said, the actual game mechanics behind it, quite cathartic, quite pleasing. It's got a nice sky and sandbox. You know, the visuals are very nice, the graphics quite nice. And it's not particularly complicated. And it looks like a game that you can kind of pick up and come back to whenever you like. That being said, this is where I think we are going to end our exploration of the game today. So there we go. That is the Treasure Hunter Simulator. Tell me, what do you think of the game? Have you played it? What do you think of it? What do you think of these games and how they represent metal detecting and archaeology? Do you think maybe that they pose issues with people then wanting to go out and maybe focus in on some of these sites? Especially, you know, that one of the things which sort of bugs me when we initially read the description was this idea of visiting well-known historical sites and searching for treasures. Now, what we've discovered in what we've just looked at with the job such as Bavarian Lake as being approached by an official, or what sounds like an official archaeological institution, that is slightly better as long as that's sort of represented at every site, and that's how you progress forward, rather than just going and hunting for treasure because you are under license, you are sanctioned to go and do that on behalf of that organisation. But of course, this isn't the only game out there. What other games do you know of? I'm going to have a... I'm not something... There are other games out there. No, it's not something I've gone out of my way desperately to go and look at. But please let me know of the games that you think are out there. And if you are interested in going out and doing metal detecting, I urge you, go and speak to your local authorities. In this country, get in contact with the Portable Antiques Scheme, or in England and Wales and the equivalents in Scotland and Ireland. Go and talk to your find liaison officers, get a good rapport with them, because they will be a wealth of information. They will tell you where you can and can't dig. They'll help put you in contact with landowners and get permission. You know, they want ultimately to help responsible metal detection, because, as we said, metal detecting can be a really, really useful tool. I'm not down on metal detecting. My slight rant at the beginning of this video may have thought, yeah, I'm down on metal detecting. I'm not down on metal detecting, but I'm down on certain, well, as it hopefully is quite understandable, illegal metal detecting, night hawking, the illicit antiquities trade, you know, the selling of things that have been acquired illegally on the black market. And also, how do games like Treasure Hunter, do they maybe give the impression to some people that's okay by how they present what they're doing? And again, please, I'm not saying that Treasure Hunter Simulator is encouraging people to go out and do this in real life. You know, that's not what I'm saying. But do they have an impact? Do they have an influence, maybe unknowingly, to people who are playing the game? Really, I don't know. This is what we're here to explore. Let me know what you think. So I'm just going to quickly go back and again show you the Portable Antique Scheme website for those of you in this country, because it is a really useful... It's got the code of practice here for your responsible metal detecting. It's got a series of interesting databases on coins. You can search for hoards. You can search by images, for example. Here we go. Various things that have been found whilst metal detecting. They've also produced a very good book called Finds Identified. I'd highly suggest, if you're interested in that, grabbing one of those. It's a great resource. I can't find my copy currently. it somewhere. By the way, this is not sponsored by Portable Antique Scheme or by the publishers of those books. So yeah, it's got treasure guides, you know, what is treasure, how you go about reporting treasures, what's classified as treasure, treasure valuations and acquisitions, and buying and exporting treasures. It's got information on finds conservation. It's got some really good hints there on things you can do. Conservation advice, you know, here. Tips. You know, this all looks really great. How to also extract carefully on site, you know, all really, really good stuff. In fact, I don't think I have a copy of this, so I'm going to download that later. Let's do that later. So yeah, go and have a look at that. Check that out. Where was I? Lost. Oh, there we go. So yeah, go and check that out. What else do they have? There's just good stuff here. Interesting news, especially about garden finds. People doing investigations in their garden during lockdown, which is great. You know, lots of great finds have been found through people's gardens. But again, anything you do find, please pass it along to you know, send information about it to your finds liaison officer. And they'll be able to advise basically on anything about that find and any next steps that might need to be taken. And, you know, just lots of information there. So if you are in England and Wales or the UK, go and check out the Portable Antique Scheme and have a look at their resources. So yeah, go and check that out. Very useful source of information. I'll put links, as I said, to those in the description. I mean, that really wraps up this video. I think it'll be, based on what we discovered at the end of the video, I think it'll be useful to continue looking at Treasure Hunting Simulator and look at some of the other sites and see how they approach the excavation of some of those sites. So we'll look to be doing another video in the near future. But again, with I want to get back to also doing the RuneScape Archaeology series and also finishing off my look at some of the games produced about COVID-19 and years 2020-21, which will probably be, those will probably be my next couple of videos, and then maybe we'll come back and have another look at Treasure Hunter Simulator. So thank you very much for joining me for this video. Sorry it's been a bit of a long one. If you've enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up, give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell to find out when we next upload. There'll be some other smaller videos I imagine coming out over the next couple of weeks as well. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye.